So Michael Jordan's gambling addiction has been kind of a hot topic, if you will. And people have kind of wondered just how bad his gambling was. And to me, who, let's not mince words here. I have a long, storied history as a gambler, both on the streets, and by on the streets I mean in the underground, poker games at people's houses or poker tournaments, unregulated, stupid stuff, just like March Madness betting with friends or whatever. I'm not gonna incriminate myself too much on camera here, but both in that world and in the regulated world of casinos and all that. So I feel like I know what he's saying or what kind of how that's going. And I'll tell you this right now. He is 100% a gambling addict. Now, here's the question. And this is where we're going to do the deep dive on. The deep dive is, can Michael, it's twofold. Can Michael Jordan truly have a gambling problem if he has an unlimited supply of money? That's the first thing. We're going to unpack that. Second thing, what actually is a gambling addict, and can you be addicted to something but it not be a problem? This is interesting. Okay, this is the kind of stuff that you come here to find. This is the kind of stuff, the hot issues. This is the breakdown of the things that no one else is unpacking. And that's why you come to this podcast. That's why we get people to sponsor us like Macard, Anderson & Associates, PLC. So let's do the first one. Can Michael Jordan truly be a gambling addict or truly have a problem, a gambling problem, if it does not negatively affect his life? Can you say that Michael Jordan has a gambling problem? To this I say, gambling addiction and certain other addictions, the next one that comes to mind is sex addiction. Gambling addiction, I think people misconceive to be all about the money and to be all about winning or losing money. Here's my look at it. And if you really think about a gambling addict, they really are not interested in the money. Fun fact, most of the time, the best or the biggest gambling addicts or whatever it is, they almost play to lose because it turns into this thing where you're gambling because there is a tangible thing that you want to win or lose, right? Money. There's something that if you win or lose, you feel it. It sucks or it's awesome. That's money. But what they're really chasing is a feeling. They're really chasing that adrenaline. The adrenaline of when that second card is being flipped over. The moment the dice are skipping across the carpet. While the roulette wheel is spinning. The 3-hour high during a football game you bet on, rooting for your teams. You're not sitting here going like, $50, yes, $50. I love $50. I cannot wait to get my $50. It's more of this, it's more like skydiving. It's very similar to skydiving, where while you're in the air, or just let's just take adrenaline junkies. Okay, we hear that all the time. Adrenaline junkies, people that jump out of planes and go luging, and people that rock climb and all this stuff. And they always say the same thing. They get like a high from that adrenaline. And they get a high from the moment where they're closest to death. Okay? And it sounds super morbid, but if you watch documentaries like Free Solo, you can tell that the name of the game is for them to push themselves as close to the face of death as they can. They get all the adrenaline from that, and then they return to safety. Now, it doesn't always work out. Sometimes people do die. Sometimes people do lose money in gambling. It doesn't always work out. The money is just the tangible thing. And you saw it with Jordan, that it wasn't always about money. We talked about it on this podcast. He famously bet a MTV VJ that he would wager her virginity. He wasn't interested in the money. He was interested in, and he even says it on the documentary. He says, I know it wasn't on the documentary. It was a side story. There was a side story from Gary Lineker, a famous soccer player who played golf with Jordan. And he said when they asked Jordan, what do you want to bet per hole? Jordan's response was, you tell me whatever makes you uncomfortable. And that's like the crux of gambling, is that it's not, if it's not money, it's a car. If it's not a car, it's jewelry. If it's, whatever, the gambling aspect is just take this tangible thing, and that tangible thing being on the line is going to elicit a very real emotional response inside of me. And that's what gambling is. It's much less about the money. It's hard to explain unless you're in that world to really understand it. But I can promise you, the money is not a big deal at all. That the money is nice for sure, and it's, if you win a lot, it's cool. If you lose a lot, it sucks. But people gamble because of the moments in the games. I read somewhere once that they did like a measure of when your adrenaline or whatever spikes the most. I think skydiving was number 1, but number 2 was when dice were rolling on a craps table. It went in that moment, in the moment of limbo. It's almost like time freezes. So for Jordan, I do not think Jordan was gambling for money. I don't think he really cared. I think he would gamble for whatever. And money's just the easiest. Money's tangible. Money is something that everyone has. Money's something that everyone understands. You can't be like, I gamble for Lamborghinis. Say, okay, well, not everyone has Lamborghinis. I gamble for gold jewelry. Okay, well, not everyone has gold jewelry, but everyone has money, and that is the addiction, right? Is Jordan was addicted to gambling. Now, when does it become a problem? Because gambling problems, something else that's kind of funny, is someone can be a gambling addict, but if they win all the time, do they have a gambling problem? How many people do you think are in Gambling Anonymous? How many people do you think are in Gamblers Anonymous and they say, man, dude, like, it sucks so bad. I need some help. I need to quit this. I've been making $50,000 a month on betting on baseball. Like, I just got to stop. No one does that. Like, it's only when they lose. It's only when you hear people lost their child's college funds, or they lost they embezzled from a business to pay off their debts, or they're in bad with the mob. Like, it's the only time you hear of people going to Gamblers Anonymous is when they lose. So are they addicted to, what is the problem? Do they have a gambling problem, or do they have a losing problem? And that is where, same with sex, okay? So Tiger Woods was a sex addict or whatever, and he went to sex rehab. Well, if a married man has sex with his wife 2 times a day, every single day, for 50 straight years, in the happiest marriage of all time, is he a sex addict? And is it a problem, right? Like, at what point is there an intersection of problem and addiction? And with Jordan, he's a great barometer for that. Is that, yeah, I think he was an addict, but I don't think he necessarily has a problem. I would say with anything, that if you are addicted to something, it can be gambling, it can be running, it can be working out, it can be alcohol, whatever. If you're addicted to it, there are people who are addicted to a lot of stuff. And cigarettes, for example, caffeine. There's no doubt in my mind I'm addicted to caffeine. I drink coffee. I drink at least 2 cups of coffee, most of the time upwards of 5 cups of coffee every single day of my life. I cannot tell you the last day I did not go without coffee. I have no clue. If I do not have coffee, I will go find coffee. If I'm somewhere, if I'm not, at my house, if I'm somewhere and I don't have a pot of coffee on me, I will drive, I will walk, I will order, I will do whatever I gotta do to get some damn coffee. But I'm gonna have coffee. Am I addicted to coffee? Probably, yes. Do I have a coffee problem? No, it doesn't affect my life at all. It's just something I do. People are addicted to working out. People are addicted to running. They cannot exist without whatever the thing is. Now, when does it become a problem? I would say, let me check my timer here. No, we're good. I would say you don't have a problem until it's affecting your life negatively. Gambling. When does a gambling addict have a problem? A gambling addict has a problem when they start to steal money to do it. When they start to take on enormous debt to do it. When they start to embezzle to do it. When they start to risk their family and their friends to do it. When they start to negatively affect their own life to do it, it becomes a problem. When does an adrenaline junkie have a problem? When they start to take over necessary risks to feel the adrenaline. When they start to really, truly risk their life to continue this. They fell off a mountain, broke their leg. The next day, they're trying to skydive. Hey, man, just relax. I would say that's when they have a problem. When does a coffee addict have a problem? When they're drinking so much coffee that they send themselves into, some kind of heart palpitations, they have to go to a hospital. When does a running addict have a problem? When they start to miss work or start to miss family functions to go on runs. When they start to, you get my point. You get my point. So I think that, yes, Jordan is an example of someone who is addicted to that feeling. He's addicted to the dice rolling, for example. That's just that's like metaphorical. He's not addicted to craps. He's addicted to the moment in limbo right there. Is it a problem? Probably not. Probably not, to be honest. Jordan probably doesn't have a problem because it can't be a problem, as weird as that sounds. Drugs are an example. If someone smokes, let's say someone in Nevada or Colorado smokes weed every day, they're probably addicted to it. But unless it negatively affects them, is addiction synonymous with problem? I say no. And that's something someone asked me today about it and what I thought. And it took me a little bit to think because I was like, well, I never thought about it like that. I never thought about the difference really between problem and addiction and how synonymous addiction is with problem. Addiction could also probably be positive. People are addicts to all kinds of things. Michael Jordan was an addict to greatness. He was an addict he was obsessed. What's the difference between obsession and addiction? On the real grand scheme of things, I know the definitions are different. I know the actual technical term, the actual technical thing are different. I get that. But if you are obsessed with being the greatest, like Michael Jordan was, if you're obsessed with making everybody eat their words, if you're addicted to the feeling of winning, you're addicted to the feeling of being the best, and you're addicted to all that, what is the difference? It's something to think about. And it's just such a... I'm not a gambling addict. I know gambling addicts, and I see them all the time at the book. And, I gamble, between me, you, and the camera, I gamble 100% legally. I gamble 100% legally. I have no weird, outstanding, bets, when Jordan's flipping coins and stuff. When Jordan's flipping coins in the hallway, or he's betting on golf games, I don't get into all that. 99% of my gambling is at the sports book at one of 5 casinos in my town. Besides that, it's a little bit of blackjack. That's about it. That's really it. But I see people, and I know people who are 100% gambling addicts, and so it can be sad to see and harrowing to see, and that's why I think it's pretty easy to see that Jordan is obsessed with that. Problem? I don't think so.